And now today's Daily Grill.
Insane.
Are you completely insane?
Ridiculous.
They get more and more ridiculous.
Flat out dumb.
You're even dumber than I thought.
Who deserves today's Lars Grill of the Day?
Maybe they're just really, really stupid.
Find out right now.
I've got to give the grill today to the Tri-Metropolitan Transit Agency, otherwise known as TriMet, for putting the entire transit system in financial peril. We've warned you before that TriMet was $800 or so million in unfunded liabilities for its health care promises that it's made over the years to drivers and other employees. Well, now the current number, according to TriMet General Manager Neil McFarland, is $950 million in liabilities for TriMet, for which they do not have the money. And by the way, Neil McFarland has already warned, and get these numbers right, TriMet would likely need to cut 70% of its service by 2025, 11 years ago, without changes to the generous union health and retirement benefits that are given to their employees. 70% of all the service. In other words, we'll have a transit agency without any actual transit. Welcome back to the Lars Larson Show. That was Ronald Reagan from his Time for Choosing speech, which we're celebrating today, 50 years later, from the Young America's Foundation in Santa Barbara, California. They're the organization that managed to save the Ronald Reagan Ranch from being developed into something else. Instead, it is preserved as a reminder of this great man. Your phone calls and emails are welcome as well. And if you can hear, I'm a little bit hoarse at the end of this week. I know how that does. It's a little bit of airplane flying and a whole lot of cold. Let's go to John in Camas. Hey, John, welcome to the program. What's on your mind?
Lars, first and foremost, congratulations on being there with the Young America's folks. It's an amazing organization.
Yes, it
is. I had the privilege of visiting Rancho del Cielo about 6 years ago, and I hope you get a chance to go visit that. It's amazing how humble that presidential retreat was, and what an amazing president Ronald Reagan was.
You know, I'm gonna confess to you, John, I've been up there 3 times. It has always been a real pleasure, and you feel humbled when you're there. But I've decided that I'm going to leave those opportunities to other people who are here this time who want to go up and see it. There are a couple of hundred young men and women who are here, most of them college age, who are here as part of this celebration. But they're having sessions all day long. I was part of one today with a couple of colleagues from the news business. James Rosen from Fox News and Ainsley Earhart from Fox News and David Keene from the American Conservative Union. And we got a chance to share with them some of our thoughts on why Reagan was such a great communicator and the kinds of things that they might do as young people to emulate that kind of communication skill. Because for all we know, the next Ronald Reagan is sitting there in the audience right in front of us.
Absolutely right, and I applaud you guys and all that great work. Hey, the reason I called, your outrage of the day talked about TriMet being almost now $1 billion in debt with their unfunded employee liabilities.
That's true.
And we've talked about that before. Brief reminder, a year ago, CTran here in Clark County signed a contract that ceded eminent domain authority to Portland's TriMet and also had a $5 million penalty clause. Well, a year later, just 2 weeks ago, they signed another contract with TriMet to create an electronic fare collection system.
John, can I ask you to hold up for one moment? We have a report of 3 officers shot in Sacramento. We do not know their conditions, but again, this is of not only would we be concerned about this anyway, but you know that the Islamic State has been calling for attacks on government and law enforcement. We know about the incidents that have happened in Ottawa, Canada, just this week, with the attack on Parliament, with the attack on on 2 individual soldiers, one of whom died. John, I had to break in for that. A report of 3 officers shot in Sacramento. No idea what the circumstances are yet, but as we get more data, we will let you know. But John, I'm sorry to interrupt. You were saying about TriMet and its health care costs.
Well, and thank you. My prayers go out to those families of those officers.
Yes, sir.
Let's hope they recover, my friend. But this new contract that CTran authorized to sign is for an electronic fare collection system where they're going to be paying TriMet $46,000 a month over $550,000 a year just to have TriMet collect the fares of CTran riders.
$30 million. And believe me, we started when they talked about this. I called the folks at TriMet, Roberta Alstead and others, and said, listen, how can you justify this? Because $30 million, unless you're going to save $3 million a year for the next 10 years, it's simply not justified. And I'm still convinced they haven't made a case for it.
Exactly right. And at the CTran board meeting, they were asked, and the staff said there were no identified savings as a result of this. They're going to be spending $550,000 a year. That buys one bus every single year that would better serve our customers. And so it sadly seems that the CTran board, led by Tim Lovett, continues to give further CTran operations and control over to TriMet. It makes absolutely no sense.
You're absolutely right, John, and I appreciate the call.